Welcome to If the Public Only Knew, the show that pulls back the curtain on what it really takes to build and lead a business. Host Gary Cinderbrandt sits down with some of today's most dynamic CEOs, founders, and leaders to dig into their origin stories, hard-earned lessons, and the missteps that nearly derailed it all. These are unfiltered, no-hype conversations designed to inspire, challenge, and fuel your own journey. Now here's your host, Gary Cinderbrandt.
All right, Wombi, tell me all about LovePop. Give me a tour of the store, and then we'll go from there. I love your product, by the way. They don't have it in Colorado, but you need to get something out here.
Amazing. Well, yeah, we will. We'll think that through. Well, great to meet you. And we're here outside of our Hudson Yards store. So they just turned on all the lights in Hudson Yards, which is just
Nice.
beautiful. And of course, here we have the LovePop's store. So we're on a mission to create 1 billion magical moments. And we do that by making these beautiful little works of art that you send to people you love in a card. So here's the store. That's one of our winter suncatcher bouquets. And let me make sure I don't run into anyone as we take a quick tour. And so over here, we've got a bouquet wall. So those all fit in an envelope. We've got a whole bunch of different designs here. This is our little New York section because we're in New York. So we've got some great, like the Statue of Liberty, little New York City skyline, some Christmas cards and different holiday cards. Love, of course. It's all about sending love. And then our brand new plush pop line, which is super fun, and some card packs. And we're in the store with Rashima and Marie, who are amazing.
Hello, Rashima and Marie. Big smiles on your face. What a cool
Yep.
product.
So, and then back
Go
wall
ahead.
here, just some decor items for the holidays and some advent calendars, which are also super fun.
Show me your favorite pop-up. Don't even think about it. Just grab one that you
Oh,
just say, this is the coolest thing.
yeah. Well, I actually brought it in the back room already
Okay.
for you. So let me show this to you because this is absolutely my favorite is our maple design. Check it
Oh my
out.
God.
It's all that beautiful laser cutting. But of course, I do have some more really fun ones.
Fire away, man. This
So
is too cool.
yeah, this is our cherry blossom. Also, again, you can kind of really see through all the foliage here. This was the first card that ever did $1 million in sales for Love Pop.
Oh my
So
God, that
it's
is
a
so cool.
really special design, has created so many magical moments. And then for the holidays here, we've got this poinsettia suncatcher bouquet. And these suncatcher bouquets have been doing really well, which
And
is,
that's a card?
card and a gift. I mean, it fits in an envelope. You send it to someone you love and they put it out for the season. So this
That's
one's really
incredible.
great. And this little sun catcher here actually comes off as well if you want to like hang it in a window. Just really fun. And then the last one I've got for you, just out of the what, love unicorns. One of our values is magic. And so we have a lot of unicorns in the product line. This one is a plush pop, and it's one of our first removable plush pops. It actually comes out of the cards. It's a little stuffed animal in the card. So cute.
How do I order
It's
that card today?
lovepop.com. So you've got
I'm
the whole
I'm
product
definitely ordering
line.
that. I think my wife's gonna order 10 of those.
Oh my
That's
goodness. Oh my goodness.
remarkable. My granddaughter is completely into unicorns.
That's
That is
amazing.
so cool. All right, I'm kind of blown away for a number of reasons. When people open the cards, I don't think the first reaction they have is the technical expertise that goes into the design, manufacture, the precision that is required. I know you have an architectural background and in shipbuilding is my understanding. where it doesn't matter where it goes or what it does on the ship, but it all matters. I mean, right down to the
That
ounce.
that's
Um,
right. Yeah.
how did we go from naval architecture to this?
Yes. Great question. So my co-founder John Wise and I both met in 2005 at uh, School for Ship Design. It's called Webb Institute. It's out on Long Island, actually pretty close to here. And we studied how to design everything from a sailboat to a cruise ship. And actually, both have worked on everything from cruise ships to oil rigs to container ships to patrol boats for the Coast Guard and the Navy. And we got together in business school 4 years after we graduated with the goal of let's start a business. And we thought it was going to be an industrial type business, hard hat and steel toes. But 6 months in, we fell in love with the style of slice form kirigami, which is kind of what you see in a Love Pop design.
So
And
where does that come from? Were you fascinated by origami designs that you worked into? I mean, how does it go from
yeah,
naval architecture to realizing that you're going to move into something that is obviously going to use engineering skills, but is as far away from steel toe boots and hard hats as you can get?
yeah, so we were both in business school together at Harvard Business School, and they sent us on a trip to Vietnam. And part of the goal was just to learn about business in different cultures and different environments. And so we did some consulting projects there with local businesses, which was super fun, super amazing. And one evening, we were walking to dinner and we came across uh, cards in this style of the slice form kirigami style. And there was one that was a little ship, and we're just like, oh my goodness, we can make anything out of this because the way that it's put together is slices of paper that intersect in this kind of matrix pattern. And it was the same way when you look at a ship, you take a complicated 3D shape and you slice it into planes. And where they intersect, that's where you've got, transverse longitudinal frames of a ship, and you cut them out of big pieces of steel or aluminum, weld them together. In this case, it's the same idea, only in super miniature, and it's paper, and you glue it and assemble it together. No welding required, but it's really the same kind of geometrical exercise when you're designing something.
But without any of the things like calculate stress points and moments and tensile strength and all the rest of it, and how big a wave can hit
For
this
the most
thing.
part, yeah. For
Okay.
the most part, we try to avoid so much stress that we need to bring out the calculators. But we do use the same software for the 3D design part that we used to use for ship design, which is a really fun and interesting parallel.
And how's the manufacturer? I mean, how do you manufacture? Use laser cutting? Just walk me through. I'm just fascinated by so much of this. Walk me through sourcing your materials, color design. Where does that all come from? Do you have a designer that looks at this, or how does that all work from inception to sales?
Yeah. Well, we design all of our own product, and then we're pretty unique in that we also manufacture all of our own product. So we have our own production facility that we started with one person in Da Nang in Vietnam. And we always begin with the concept. So it always starts with what customer need are we trying to solve? So you have an occasion that's really important to you, you have a person that's really important to you. There's a theme maybe you're interested in. And we really try to come up with an assortment that reflects what our customers are looking for and what they can use in their everyday life. And especially, we really try to make really versatile designs. So, for example, this green maple, you can give it for so many different occasions. This could be, just a just because card. It can be a great birthday card. It can be a good sympathy card. So we really try to make it as universal as possible. And then once we have an idea of what we want to make, then we sketch. And so we have a team of designers and illustrators that is just amazing, really amazing. In the very beginning, John and I were making cards, and I can tell you they look nothing like the Love Pop cards of today. So we are a really talented team, starts sketching out concepts and making what we call a planning sheet, which basically specifies who's this for, what's the style, what does it look like, and all the different pieces of our uh, uh, taxonomy. So kind of where does this live in the world of Love Pop? And once we have that planning sheet done, then we start engineering and really coming up with how do we put this into a 3D shape. As I mentioned, we use the same 3D design software as we used to use for ship design, and we bring the illustration into that 3D environment so we can see what it looks like, do our prototyping, and then we get it ready for production where we start really thinking about, okay, how are all these pieces going to be assembled together? What's the right order? And then we bring it into our production facility where we have, it's really art and science. Everything we do, art, engineering, how do we combine them? And uh, we have both high-tech laser cutters that are really automated, and we're nesting all of the pieces of paper in cut files and cutting out all the little tiny details. And then on the other hand, we're assembling each one by hand. And so when you get that final product, uh, it's something that a lot of people have touched. That through that whole process, so many people have been a part of bringing that magical moment to life. And someone has literally hand assembled each design that you open.
It's funny because the impression I get when you open that up is it's living or it has some life force behind it, is how realistic it looks. It's not something I would open up and like a greeting card and get rid of at some point. I don't see ever getting rid of something like that. Um, it would just, as opposed to the pop-up cards where you open and somebody springs out and it plays a song, that's like living artwork. I am blown away by it. Do you have any competitors in the business?
Uh, everyone always has competition. So of course, we have competition. I think what we really focus on, as you mentioned, is like that living quality that comes from the amount of intricacy, detail, kind of how thin we try to get this so that it really takes on that other quality. And I don't think that anyone else making a product like this is really putting as much craft and as much focus into the design as we do.
So you and John go through naval architecture training together. What made you decide you went back for the Harvard MBA program or was it an executive program?
MBA program.
What made you decide to go back to school?
So John had, after Webb, been designing aluminum patrol boats for the Coast Guard and the Navy at a startup aluminum boat builder in Louisiana. And he designed a boat that won a 500 boat contract
Wow.
and started to put that into production. He hired a whole engineering team to put that into production and came out of that experience saying, wow, I have really learned a lot about engineering. And I have a lot to learn about business. And I would really love to one day build something that I'm a part of the founding team for. And so he applied to business school because he didn't have that much experience on that end. And he got into Harvard Business School. And so that's when he gave me a call. He said, hey, yeah, you'll never believe it. Like, I got into Harvard Business School. We've always wanted to start a business together. You should apply and let's see if we can do it. And so that was um, in 2012. And then in 2013, we were really fortunate to have that opportunity. And that was really our goal going in.
So you come back, you have the impact of what happened in Vietnam, the aha moment occurs. You've got some background on the technical side, but what you're building, especially from a production standpoint, it's not like a SaaS-based business. You need money. What do? You got a great idea.
Yeah.
I saw the thing on Shark Tank. Tell me about gaining that first investor. I don't know if it was O'Leary or not, but tell me what that was like when you realized, well, we better put our business skills to use and think about runway and think about return on equity and all the things founders usually have to think about.
Yeah. For the first 2 years, it was really hustle. It was really hustle. And we started and we did it very incrementally. So we started with just, hey, we think this is a really interesting idea. We're not sure if it's a business, but we love the concept. And we started just showing it to everyone that we knew. And the reaction was incredible. It was super positive. So then we started going to craft fairs, markets. We went into Boston public gardens with product and handed them to people and just asked people, like, what would you do with this? We would go to craft fairs and markets Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I remember a time when I was loading up John's pickup truck with all of the tent, kind of all the materials, 6 o'clock in the morning, get out, get set up, sell all day, can't leave the tent. So like 12 hours selling in a row, no bathroom breaks, no food, no nothing, just like selling, coming back, counting like the inventory, counting the money, and then getting ready, getting to sleep at 11 and starting again the next morning, and then doing all the other things in the like 4 days in between. So it was really, really full, just selling in the very beginning. Then we did a Kickstarter. I believe it was a little north of $20,000 that we did in that first Kickstarter. And so that really kind of got us to the next stage. We took a very expensive business loan that I would never recommend to anyone. We took a loan from a classmate. We really just kind of pieced it together for the first year until we had the opportunity to join the Techstars program, and then we did our first angel investment round, and then we were on Shark Tank, as you mentioned, and that helped us kind of get our next investment into the business.
So moving through Techstars, which is basically looking at cool code and product that's going to be tech based, was the software that you adopted from your naval architecture background was that the rare thing that people were kind of attaching themselves to, that you could take your training and a piece of software and adapt it to do something new?
I think that's a really great question. Why on earth would LovePop be in Techstars when it's really more focused on technology than consumer products? I think there were a few different things. I think first and foremost, it was actually the amount of running through walls that we had shown in the early part of the business that got Techstars excited about us as a founding team. I think the second piece that was really interesting was I think it really resonates with people. We all have special people in our lives that we want to appreciate more often and in more meaningful ways. And so when we had our early product, it was kind of an instant light bulb for everyone of like, this is better. This is better than going to the grocery store or the drugstore aisle and doing kind of the multiple choice equation and ending up with something that does the job but doesn't do much more than the job. And this is much more emotional. And we know they're not going to throw it away. We know they're going to keep it. We know when it's sitting out there, they're going to think of me as the giver. So I think that was really more of what resonated was we've got a big industry. It hasn't changed in a long time. If we apply kind of creativity from another space to it, then there's a really interesting opportunity.
So when you were raising capital, you had some debt you had to pay off. You end up on Shark Tank. What was that pitch like, and what was your negotiation like?
Well, the pitch was exactly like what you see on TV. We were incredibly surprised by just how little difference there was between what we experienced and what you see. And we came in with a pretty clear picture that we were just excited to be there. We were just excited to have the opportunity to share our story. We were really excited to get to pitch to the sharks. And our main goal was to get an investment. That was our goal. And we had a few parameters in mind of what we would be willing to accept or not accept as a deal, which allowed us to do some quick decision making when we were up there. And we memorized our numbers. So they ask a lot of numbers questions, and we wanted to make sure that we were prepared. So we spent a lot of time preparing for that. And of course, we made a custom love pop for all of the sharks, which actually took an incredible amount of time at a time when we didn't have a lot of design capability and resources, but it was super fun. And I don't know if that helped, but they definitely appreciated their love
So was
pops.
that your first equity investment on your capital table?
It was right around the time of the angel investment. So I think we had a handful of angel investors close prior to the Shark Tank close, but it was all that same summer.
And how much involvement or direction have you had from your investors as the company has grown?
We've had our investors have been fantastic across the board in a lot of different ways. I think we have a number of folks who've built successful companies. People bring different expertise to the table. I just even in the last week, I've spoken to one of our investors who has a lot of experience in the consumer product space, and so that's really helpful when thinking about some of our brand decisions, product development decisions, retail decisions. I'm in the retail store right now. On the other hand, we have a lot of technology investors. And so when we're building our systems, we always have people to call on. And for that, it's been really invaluable. I think for the most part, our investors rely on us and trust us to build the business, but they're here for us when we need them.
So I note, as I was searching for a store close by where I live, there wasn't one, but I noted a lot of dots on that map.
You're in
Um,
Colorado, right?
I'm in Colorado.
Yeah.
Uh, and believe me, if you were in Vail, they buy you out every day because the people here intentionally look for places to go where they haven't spent money yet. It's like it's burning a hole in my pocket. I got to go spend it somewhere. Um, Tell me about how you handled getting into so many stores because you've got a model that's also direct to consumer, but you're also showing up in a whole bunch of stores. So, two questions. How do you handle affiliating with these stores? Do you do it at the chain level or the individual level? And is the pricing the same as if I buy it online versus I buy it in a store?
Great question. We work primarily with independent retailers. So uh, the there aren't a lot of chains that carry Love Pop. In fact, um, to the extent there are, they're a handful of independent retail stores that are connected. Um, we we have relationships with those stores, so they come and order from us. The pricing is the same, although as long as we're following our standard pricing, uh, we don't really see a lot of um, differences there. And really, our focus is to get Love Pop into the hands of as many people as possible. And we have had some different models over the years, but our real focus is building the number one online card destination and then enabling our independent retailers to bring Love Pop to their customers.
So, your company's currently private. Your growth is extraordinary. What is there a goal in mind, or is there some end state? You've got a bunch of investors who are probably at some point going to want to know, well, it's great, this is going so well, but how do we exit? How are you considering that?
Uh, it's it's honestly not something we spend a lot of time on in terms of exit. We do spend a lot of time on the goal, though. The goal for LovePop is 1 billion magical moments. And that's our mission. We're at 65 million magical moments to date, which is really exciting. And we count one moment for the giver and one for the receiver for every card that we send. So, each card is kind of worth two
Sure.
magical moments in our calculation. So, by my rough math, we've been in business almost 12 years. We've gotten to 6.5% of the goal. So, we have some acceleration to do for us to hit our mission in my lifetime. So that's the focus.
Well, it would seem that if you're looking at the growth rate of your company, since growth rates are somewhat geometric on top of the prior year, which is a great growth rate to have, you're probably going to get there a lot sooner than you think. I also imagine your phone must be ringing off the hook from private equity, from investment banking, and the rest of it, because you've got a company which, for all intents and purposes, you've got dominant market share, you've got a super cool idea, you've got consumer penetration, you've got a distribution network, and your product's great. So I know what your goal is. I hear it. It's laudable. But at some point, you're going to have investors say, "Hey, boys, what's next? Where do we go from here? What would you consider from the investor standpoint, which, as you know, you have a responsibility to? How do you deal with that going forward? You got a super successful company. It's worth multiples of what everybody put in. I know you don't want to think about it, but that's something Kevin O'Leary's thinking about, or anybody else that came in with you. What are you telling them? And by the way, by no means am
Yeah,
I diminishing your mission. I think it's mission's got to be first.
yeah. I mean, I think when we have this kind of conversation, of course, the main focus from our investors is creating options. And so w- really what we believe is if we have a thriving business, then we will always have options, whether those options be uh, you know different investors that buy the company at some point, whether those options include going public, whether those options include a different strategic alternatives. That's something that we might always look at as a board. Um, but really, kind of our main mindset is to create options.
So it would seem to me, I mean, you've got great tech, you have a great product. Have you looked at adjacent verticals? Maybe not so much in the greeting card area, but actually in the art field, where you could create something that could actually probably go as an independent sleeve using your technology and your background. Have you looked at any adjacent verticals, or are you just going to stay where you are?
It's a great question. Uh, the way that we really believe we create the best customer experience and business is through focus. And so our core focus is on putting the most magic that we possibly can into a card. And if you look on the lovepop.com website today, you will see lots of different ways in which we do that. Whether it's a 3D slice form card, which is kind of our core product, or we were just looking at it earlier, our plush pop line, where you get, you know, a little stuffed animal
I love
unicorn
that.
coming out of a card, um, and then being a little removable stuffed animal. Whether it's our felt charm cards, which double as ornaments, um, there are many, many different ways. Um, our light up cards right now, we're seeing a lot of growth with the innovation around lights and sound in cards. You saw the Suncatcher bouquet. It's basically anything that we can bring into an envelope that you can send to somebody that you love, which it creates constraints, but we also believe that creating constraints can enable a lot of creative freedom.
No question
And
about it.
so our focus is the most magic in a card. And then the other focus with that is we really believe that the world needs more magical moments. People are happier, people are healthier, um, and they feel less stress when they're spending more time appreciating and recognizing other people. And a love pop gives you this like really easy way to do that. That's special and doesn't require a big load in terms of, picking out the right gift or anything like that. And so the other part of the focus is really making sure that our customers have a stash of love pop cards on hand so that whenever that occasion comes, that moment strikes, rather than letting it pass you by, you're actually prepared. You have what you need. You can pick one out of your stash and you can get it done right away. So that's really the other big
I
part
love
of our
that. I love that
focus.
because you've kind of self-selected. If you make that order, you've self-selected those next 5 or 10 moments that you're going to have that moment, and you know you're about to give it to somebody else. So take me back to the Shark Tank. You guys knew you had something, but you didn't have commercial validation at the level of real professional investors, people that see everything. You designed cards for each of the four sharks. What was your thinking? How did you and your partner respond as they opened their cards and they experienced these things for the first time? What did you seek? What did you take in? And what was going through your minds? I'm sure you were probably thinking similar things, but take me back to that moment if you would.
Yeah, well, the moment really began waiting for those big giant doors to open, which is one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life. Was just uh, standing there and waiting, and then once the doors open and you have to walk out, you're like, okay, there's no turning back, there's no pausing
Right.
this. Like we're on,
We're in.
we're live. Like let's you see what happens. And um, we get in front of the sharks and we looked around and it struck us. It was like, we know them because, you've seen them on TV so many times. It was a very surreal experience standing in front of them in person and saying, okay, actually, they're just like on TV. So, we've experienced this moment hundreds of times with other Shark Tank contestants that we've watched the video of. So at that point, kind of the nervousness went away, and we were just talking about the business, and we totally forgot that we were on Shark Tank, and we were just pitching the business and having a conversation and answering the questions. And even though we were in there for quite a while, it felt, just like a brief moment.
Did you give them the cards before you described the business or after?
We gave them after we did the
Oh, you
very,
just cut out. I just lost
the
you. You're,
very,
you're muted.
oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
For some reason, I just lost your audio. Can you still
Very
hear me?
strange.
I
I can still hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just lost your audio.
I can also hear Wombi. Uh-oh.
Christine, I can hear you as well.
Okay, we'll be able
I
to
can
edit
hear
it
both
out.
of you.
I'm just wondering
Are you
why I
able to hear
lost
me
you.
now, Gary?
Um, yeah, it's like your microphone selection selected something else.
Interesting.
Just tell my guys. So I want to hear that. I want to
Okay.
hear the rest of that story.
No worries. Let me know when it's back.
Yeah, I'm losing you. My suggestion would be if put your earbuds back in your case, and then take them
Yep.
out again and see if it resyncs with your computer. And then just try one of them out and give it a little tweak on the ear, and maybe that'll bring your back in. It'll select. Give it a little squeeze.
Yep. Can you hear me?
If you squeeze it
No?
and let it go, squeeze it real quick and let it go.
Yep.
That's like bummer.
Christine, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me chat. Let's see. Chat is disabled. Um, let me do a quick um note here.
I'm just gonna put it on pause. I do want to finish. All right, note to turnkey. We are back, so we can edit out the part that went. now on a cell phone, so we can finish our fascinating interview with Wombi. So Wombi, before the tech broke down, probably on my side, I was asking you to think back to what it was like when you walked in, saw the sharks, felt a degree of comfort, started describing and discussing what the business was about, but that wasn't what sold it. It had to be the response they had to the product. It must have hit them on some sort of immediate, emotionally visceral level. And I just want to know what that moment was like when you see it. I know how I responded to it the first time I saw it. I couldn't help but smile. So, what was that like? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they opened the cards and Kevin O'Leary got the one with money, and Barbara was like, "This is money!" Like, so there was that moment where it really signified like the personal nature of the Love Pop experience is when you pick the right card for someone. Robert got a car, Lori got shopping, Kevin got money, Barbara got the skyscraper, and it was really, about the personal connection with the design that makes it feel super special. And not only is that connection there, but also the design's really unique and interesting and unexpected. And, they weren't expecting that to come out of the card. And so we really tried to blend those together to create that magical moment. And that's when, the Love Pop company value of magic is about, it's got to be really personal, it's got to be really meaningful, and it has to have some unexpected element and beauty to it.
So O'Leary probably looks at that card, which I'm sure he still has, and smiles, and the other three probably grumble because they didn't get in on the deal. And I'm sure O'Leary reminds them of that frequently. Well, believe me, he does, coming from that environment. Well, I mean, this is just absolutely fascinating. I mean, you have avoided a lot of the traps that a lot of founders get into. Your focus on your core business and your mission is, I think, 100% connected to your current success and your future success because too many founders become distracted. What's my next great idea? You're optimizing what starts out as a great idea. And I think the feedback you're getting and the emotional connection you're creating with the people that buy your product is simply extraordinary. It just brings a smile to people's faces. And God knows there's not enough of that going on right now. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. What a great, great thing you're doing. And just keep it up. I'll be ordering some today. I'm sure my wife will probably order more than I care to, but I'm getting that unicorn card with the soft Wombi in there. So with the plush toy, whatever you call it. So thank you once again. It's really been a journey. We've been listening to the CEO of LovePop. Check them out online, lovepop.com. I think you're going to have the same reaction that I did. This has been Gary Cinderbrand on If the Public Only Knew. Check out Wombi's company. I think you're going to be glad you did. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to If the Public Only Knew. Don't forget to follow the show and share it with anyone who's ready for the real raw stories behind the business successes. Join Gary next time for another powerful conversation that will leave you inspired and ready to take action.